Back in May 2018, official data from the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, explicitly confirmed that Iran was hitting every single month. They were fully compliant with every condition of the nuclear, but that very same month, the United States pulled out of the deal completely unilaterally, calling it the worst deal ever made. So the data tells us Iran absolutely wasn't cheating, but the deal, it got abandoned anyway.
And man, that leads us right to the stark reality on the ground today. Fast forward 8 years to right now, in 2026, and you hit this absolutely staggering 440 kilograms. Iran now holds 440 kilos of highly enriched uranium. To put that into perspective, if they process that just a bit further, that's enough material to fuel 10 nuclear weapons. And right now, a devastating war is quite literally being fought over it.
Part 2. The 2015 nuclear deal, and exactly what Iran agreed to give up.
To really grasp how we ended up with that massive stockpile, you gotta remember the sheer scale of Iran's initial commitments under the 2015 jcpoa. It was huge. They capped their enrichment at just 3.67%, which, by the way, is nowhere near weapons grade. On top of that, they destroyed 98% of their total uranium stockpile, bringing it down to just 300 kilos. They slashed their centrifuges by 2/3, and honestly, most importantly, they accepted the most intrusive monitoring in history: unlimited IAEA inspector access. This was the massive trade-off for getting those sanctions relieved.
Like we just talked about, the US withdrew in 2018. So the really crucial thing to focus on is what happened next. Maximum pressure sanctions were slapped right back on. And totally terrified of US secondary sanctions, European businesses just pulled back immediately. This absolutely crushed Iran's economy. The economic benefit of the deal vanished overnight, while, and this is key, Iran was still actually complying with the deal that literally wasn't benefiting them anymore.
Part 3. The escalation ladder, and how Iran started building leverage.
Now, you might expect an immediate reaction, but Iran actually waited a full year before responding to that economic pressure. And when they did respond, it wasn't some reckless sprint for a bomb. Not at all. The Arms Control Association notes that Iran specifically characterized their eventual 60% enrichment as diplomatic leverage. Experts are pretty clear on this. They intentionally escalated their enrichment to create a threat big enough, scary enough, really, to force America right back to the negotiating table.
So, over the next few years, Iran just openly climbs this escalation ladder. In 2019, they slightly reduced compliance. Nothing crazy. By 2020, they pushed past that 3.67% cap. Then, as talks totally stalled out, they announced they'd jump to 20% and eventually to 60% by 2021. And they did all of this completely publicly. But the problem is, by 2024, they had accumulated that staggering 440 kilo stockpile, which set the stage for a massive critical shift in 2025.
Part 4. The nuclear math and the leap from civilian power to nuclear weapons.
Okay, to understand why that 60% enrichment figure absolutely terrified Washington, we need to look at the basic math here. Civilian power plants, they only need enrichment up to about 5%. Research reactors need roughly 20%. But a deliverable nuclear weapon requires a massive 90% enrichment, and Iran is currently sitting alarmingly close to that red line, right at 60%.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, 60 to 90, that's a 30% jump, that's a long way off, right? Well, actually, no. Here is the absolutely critical insight. Pushing uranium from 0 to 60% takes 99% of the total engineering effort. That's the heavy lifting. The final leap from 60 up to 90%, that requires almost zero time, literally just 1% of the total effort. So starting from 60%, a single cascade of centrifuges could pump out enough weapons-grade material for a bomb in a matter of mere weeks.
But hold on a second, because we have to separate two completely different technological achievements here. Yes, spinning enough fissile material for a bomb is literally just weeks away, but possessing the insanely complex weaponization and miniaturization technology to actually launch that material on a ballistic missile, that is a totally different ballgame. Historically, experts estimated that capability to be a solid 7 to 13 months away.
Part 5. The secret authorization and the critical shift that changed everything.
For years, that 7 to 13 month timeline gap kind of kept a fragile peace. It gave everyone breathing room. But that critical distinction completely vanished in October 2025. Some highly classified intelligence surfaced showing that Iran's supreme leaders secretly authorized the development of miniaturized nuclear warheads, and if that wasn't enough, they also discovered a covert, hidden enrichment site. This totally flipped the calculus in Washington. It went from, okay, we're just monitoring a diplomatic tactic to, holy cow, time is rapidly running out. This exact combination of intelligence is what provided the basis for the military strikes that triggered the ultimate conflict in early 2026.
Part 6. The current standoff and today's diplomatic deadlock.
So, Iran's strategy of using enrichment to force sanctions relief? Yeah, it backfired disastrously. What was supposed to be just a bargaining chip grew into a very real threat that ended up forcing a military response. And right now, as of April 2026, negotiators are completely deadlocked. There's a massive 15-year diplomatic gap here. The US is demanding a 20-year halt on all enrichment, and they're insisting that the entire stockpile be transferred out of the country. Iran, they're only offering a 5-year suspension, and they want the uranium to stay inside their borders. That gap? That's literally the exact distance between peace and continued war right now.
Now, there is a potential bridge here. Russia has actually offered to take the stockpile, but there's a massive complication on the ground. After weeks of intense airstrikes, nobody, and I mean nobody, actually knows exactly where all 440 kilograms of Iran's uranium is buried. And you definitely can't verify a diplomatic deal to transfer a stockpile if you literally can't find the stockpile in the first place.
And honestly, here's the absolute tragic irony of this whole chain of events. Leaving that perfectly functioning 2015 deal back in 2018, that action removed the exact IAEA cameras and inspectors that would have mapped these facilities, tracked the material, and totally prevented this blind spot we're dealing with today. It's wild.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with the ultimate question, the one driving today's entire geopolitical reality. Based on all this data, the 60% leverage strategy and that secret warhead authorization, was Iran simply building a deterrent to make themselves too costly to attack? Or were they actively constructing a weapon they genuinely intended to use? The answer to that question pretty much determines everything about what happens next. Think about it. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.